we're going to kick off the day right now. We're going to cross over to the Newt in Somerset. We are going to be joined by Arthur Cole for Elevenses. There they are. Now, Arthur leads the programs of daily tours and seasonal workshops at the Newt. So if you've been lucky enough to go to the Newt, you would have perhaps seen Arthur in and amongst the grounds and the gardens, and you perhaps would have had a chat with him. Arthur's worked on gardens around the country and also in New York, and his kind of passions range from soil science to salmon fishing. So he knows his stuff. So let's talk to Arthur now and some of the team down at the Newt. So good morning, Arthur. Who have you got with you today?
Good morning, Lisa. Happy Garden Day. We're joining you here from the Arid House at the Newt in Somerset. The Arid House makes up part of our winter garden, and the gardens here are relatively new. They were put together by the mind of Patrice Taravella, who's also famous for Babylon Storen. And it's a wonderful fusion of ancient and new here. We're looking at gardening styles from the 17th century, moving right the way through to Victorian times and right into the 21st century. And one of the key leaders of realizing Patrice's vision is sitting right next to me here. So we've got Russell Wrigler, who's our head of ornamental plants. And so Russell, perhaps you could give us a little insight into the work you and your team have been doing here for the last few years.
Sure. We have worked exceptionally hard to create this amazing visitor attraction and these amazing, beautiful gardens here, and we continue to do so, changing all the time. So people coming back to the Newt, they're seeing something new and exciting on each visit. But now is the time to reflect, and it's a perfect time to do that is on Garden Day. So I'm sure people are doing that at home. They've put in a lot of hard work into their gardens. In autumn, firing bulbs into the ground. And then in spring, it's really like a free gift. You know, you've forgotten that hard work, but you're seeing the beauty in front of you. And that's kind of how I'm feeling today. So we're in the winter garden here, and a lot of hard work's gone into that. Behind, in the grander space, we've got these massive iron and oak planters, which are pretty heavy in themselves to move around. But we've put plants that are just as big and heavy within them. Some of them spiny, so we're getting some spiky leaves in our foreheads. But today it's a flower crown. So just looking back to those moments.
Brilliant. And gardens mean so much to so many different people in so many different ways. And they affect your senses in so many ways. Would you not agree?
Definitely. So if we were to walk out of the winter garden now, I might brush past one of our cardamom plants and brush past the leaves. It releases this really kind of sweet, gingery scent. And then you're out of the glass house and you're hearing the birds, really sounding wonderful at the moment, but you're out onto the scented Victorian walk. We've got some dianthus flowering away with a really sweet, clovey scent. But at that point, you can kind of take in the whole garden and the structure that unfolds before you. So that's really appealing to your senses, this grand view across the gardens. And then you start to meander down, and you've got some more intimate spaces, like the cottage garden, flowering wonderfully at the moment, and will only go from strength to strength through the summer. Then you drop down onto the Victorian terraces. We've got a wonderful, punchy, loud bulb display with tulips and wallflowers and forget-me-nots, just starting to power down now, but really looking good still. And then you divert, and you're down the cascade, and you've got this trickle of water appealing to your sense of sound, really relaxing space, much more natural. And then you're in the colour gardens, each colour divided into a red room, a blue room, and a white room, each colour appealing to different moods, so or really encouraging different moods. In the blue garden, it's a much more thoughtful space. Red garden gets the pulse racing, and then the white garden's more purifying. But there's lots more to come.
Sounds like you've been doing an awful lot of work And garden day is actually about sitting back and checking that hard work out, isn't it?
It really is, there's more to come, and we've got, I mentioned the parabola that'll be burgeoning with fruit later in the year. And Garden Day, encourages you to reflect on your garden and encourages you to do it more often, because we're always working hard in our gardens, and it gets you in that mindset that hopefully you can repeat through the year, and the Newt definitely through the year has so much more to offer.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Russell. I really hope that you guys can come check out Russell and his team's hard work. These gardens are constantly changing, evolving. So come and check out the blooming gardens. Thank you, Russell, for joining us. We're now going to be joined by another aspect of the garden here, and we're going to be joined by one of our produce gardeners, Will, who's joining us
Morning,
here.
guys. How are you doing? Morning out there.
Good morning, Will. So I was kind of expecting a few radishes and asparagus in that flower crown, but
They were falling off, so they're on the side instead.
fantastic. So, Will, our produce gardens are growing every day, and what are you finding that the demand is at the moment?
So usually we'd be supplying both the restaurants and the farm shop on site here. Instead of the restaurants, we're now supplying the mobile Newt boxes, the veg boxes. And one of our biggest demand products is actually the salad bags. So we do 200 and 100 gram salad bags, which we harvest 3 times a week. It's always a different new mix. And we have an example of it in the back here in the bowl, if you can just about see that. And it tends to be, we build up a sort of a lettuce base to that, and then add in the little flavoursome, interesting parts. So we'll have some pea shoots, we'll have small brassica leaves for the winter, sort of like the rockets, things like that. And try a little bit if you want. After, there's some lovely herbs in there.
Oh yeah.
We'll have a little bit. Some of this at the back. We've got some punchy things in there. We've got
Nasturtium
nasturtium leaves.
nasturtium. I should have had this in my crown, actually.
Lots of lovely edible flowers just to bring colour to the plate, and it really is a really good way of cooking, because you can have a bag of salad like that. It's really healthy. You just need one other thing to go with it, and you've got a really quick, lovely dinner there for you. We also now start to include little sprouting seeds, so sunflowers, sweet corns, things like that really pack a punch, but really make the salad quite special. So it's ever changing, but it's worth trying.
That's really good. Thank you, Will. And we've seen a few of these things. We'll be familiar with them, but you're also growing some things that probably a lot of us wouldn't have seen. I know I haven't seen quite a few of the things that's coming out of your garden right now.
Yeah, indeed. So, well, we've got some really good stuff that everyone will recognise. So we've got the first pick of the asparagus from the kitchen garden. So it's been 3 years in the making since the crowns were planted. But at the back here, we've got some really cool stuff. So we've got, over here, we've got our flower spikes from our overwintered onions. And most people don't realise that when your onions start to bolt, if you cut these off, which you have to do anyway, so that you get a decent onion bulb, you can use these like a spring onion. So they're a really punchy spring onion, or you can use it as you would a normal onion in a risotto or the like. Fantastic flavour, fantastic smell.
Yeah, great.
Really, really punchy, and also just look beautiful to have around the house. And then at the back here, we've got a Chinese kale called on the seed packets, it's called Kailan. It's also called Chinese kale. It's a sprouting broccoli crossed with an asparagus sort of flavour. So we're going to give Arthur a little taster.
Okay,
see
so
what he thinks of them.
a first time for me for one of these. Oh, that's excellent.
All right, hey?
Really succulent. There's a lot of water in that.
Yeah, the chefs absolutely love it. It's something that not many people have heard of, but it's worth definitely trying it. You can get it from most seed suppliers if you can get any seeds at the minute.
It's got a bit of an asparagus-y flavour to it as well.
Delicious.
Yeah, that's really good. Probably a little easier to grow than asparagus.
Yeah, a little easier, a quicker return. So those seeds were sown in sort of October last year. So really, really quick return there. And you can treat it like a perennial, so it can keep producing year on year.
That's great.
All right.
So, Will, what have you got coming up now? So I see you've got a little bit of Cavolo Nero there.
Yeah.
What are you guys going to be doing over the next couple of weeks in the garden?
So Cavolo Nero is a really lovely example. So this is probably the last harvest we'll get out of it. This was picked this morning from our field. And then next week I'm planning to sow some more of it for next year. So if I sow it now, as an example from our supplier Tamar, we get lots of stuff from them, really good seed company. But we'll be sowing these next week, and then we'll be harvesting January, February next year. So it's a lovely full cycle, full annual cycle there. Harvested today and sown next week. So,
great. Well, brilliant. Thank you so much, Will.
thank you guys.
And I'm looking forward to getting tucked into these. I'm sure a lot of people are really enjoying their UK vegetables at the moment. You know, it's really important. Even, you know, now is really to put the spotlight on trying to eat organically and locally. And it's amazing what we can produce in this country. We don't just need to rely on aeroplanes to deliver it to us. So, yeah, go to your local greengrocer.
It's always incredible. You can produce an awful amount from a very small space. You don't need a field. If you've got a back garden, you can sow your own little lettuces. You can make your own salad mixes. Pick them just before you eat them. You can't get better than that.
Brilliant. Thank you, Will. And after a good old munch, we'll probably need something to wash it down with. So I'd like to introduce our third guest here. So this is Paul Ross. He's our cider maker. And Paul has been working on his different blends of ciders, his single varieties. Paul, what's the relevancy of cider to you and to us here in the country?
Yeah, so cider is the heart of the Newt, I think, anyway. It's all about heritage. So we are in South Somerset, which is the real heartland of cider making in the UK and perhaps in the world as well. So we've got 65 acres of traditional standard Somerset orchards, all planted out with Somerset varieties, looking amazing right now, all in bloom. So really lovely thing to see. And all those varieties go into our beautiful Somerset ciders.
Oh, fantastic. And so we've got the heritage for cider here. We should be producing it. Can you tell us a little bit about the cider that you're producing there?
Yeah, so we are making traditional Somerset ciders with these beautiful tannic varieties, but we're doing it in a different way. So we've got a state-of-the-art modern cellar, much like a modern winery, and we're making the ciders to an impeccable standard. I hope the best ciders you've ever tasted.
I can attest to that. And in fact, I'd quite like to, at this moment, I mean, it's only right, really.
You're getting stuck in already. Okay.
Arthur, I'm going to test it too. I'm going to test it too, because I've got one here.
So, Lisa, I think we should have a toast to Garden Day, don't you?
Right, okay.
Yes,
So
absolutely. Let's
just do a little plug. This is our Dabonet cider. It's a really lovely medium cider. I think you've got the same, haven't you, Lisa?
Yes, it looks delicious. I can't wait to try it.
Fantastic.
Okay, so cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody, to Garden Day.
Cheers to Garden Day. Cheers, everybody.
Celebrating in style. Cheers, everybody.
Thanks very much. Oh, that's great.
That is delicious.
It's well balanced.
Yeah. So really lovely, full bittersweet cider made from that lovely Dabonet apple, which is a classic Somerset variety. So this is really a taste of Somerset. All available in our online shop now if anyone else at home wants to pick one up. So do have a go.
Oh, fantastic. And what else can we expect to be coming out of your
okay, yeah, so really exciting times at the cellar at the moment. Not only is our online shop really picking up at the moment, so we're going really flying with that now. We've got a new range coming out soon, so our fine cider range. The first of is going to come out end of next week, and it's going to be the first true rosé cider available in the UK. So watch this space for that one. We've got a couple of other really exciting ones coming out as well, but this is modern cider making at its best.
That's astounding. A rosé cider. Well, I'll cheers to that. And I think you're cheersing to that too, wherever you guys are as well. Fantastic.
To Somerset.
To Somerset. To cider, to gardens, and to horticulture all around. And
I love that.
Day. Let's put our feet up, let's pour another cider, and let's appreciate those blooms in our garden. We are here at the Newt. So thanks,
Love
everybody.
that.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much.